welcome to the Stacking M's podcast. I'm Sarah Payton, a marketing consultant and business coach, and we are going to be talking about marketing, money, and mindset. And I am joined here by a very special guest, my friend Deanna McIntosh, retail expert extraordinaire. I'm gonna let her go ahead and tell y'all about her accolades and what she's done and all that stuff. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got started in retail.
Yes. Well, for one, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Super excited to be here. Let's see. So my journey in retail started at age 16. I'm one of those crazy people who loved retail in middle school, actually, and continued on through high school, still loving retail. And I went to FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, to study fashion and so forth and so on. So I am still here.
16?
Steinmart.
Okay,
Was
I
my
used to
first
work at the
job.
Gap.
Really?
Girl, I used to think I was fly with the little Gap sets, okay, the little sweatsuits, you know.
Yep,
In
yep.
the bag, they used to have the jacket that you put inside the bag. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Like
I
the little
do.
windbreaker?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So FIT.
Yes, so FIT, also studied abroad in Florence, Italy for a year.
Nice.
Spoke fluent Italian. Don't ask me to do it now, because
Okay.
I don't anymore. That's on my wish list. But yeah, and then after college, I was a buyer at Chico's, Office Depot, Home Depot. I worked in logistics. I worked in like art direction, marketing, like the whole 9 yards. So I've seen the industry from so many standpoints, but I think all of that corporate experience led me to this, which is what I do now, working for small businesses as a retail business coach and consultant. I just really strongly feel like small businesses are the future of this industry. So I wanted to shift away from corporate and serve them and give them the same tools and strategies that I use in corporate.
Got it. So was this a push into working with small businesses, or was this deliberate? Because a lot of times what I find is most entrepreneurs, they're pushed into the position to help and work with small businesses in some way, right? So
Yeah.
was it a push for you, or was it something that you kind of planned out and said, okay, this is what I want to do? Or was it just a mistake?
That's a great
oops.
question. That's like a really great question. Well, I'd say I was kind of led there in a way. When I was a buyer at Office Depot, my project was for an entire year. I brought in 13 local brands into our stores for the first time in company history. And so through that, I got to see small businesses in Austin and how innovative they were and how creative they were. And at the time, I was very stifled in that role in corporate. It never felt like me. So getting to interact with them and seeing how they run their business versus how corporate runs their business, I got really curious. Like, well, we do all this planning and we systematize things. Why don't they do that? Like, it was my entire job for a year just to get 13 brands into our stores. I'm like, why is this so difficult? Like, why is there such a disconnect between what we know here in corporate and what small businesses know? So, yeah, it was definitely intentional for me to land here. But as far as leaving corporate to be a full-time entrepreneur, that was not planned.
Okay, that was the push.
That happened real quick and unplanned.
Okay. So I want to touch on a bit. You're talking about the gap, right?
Yeah.
The huge gap that you saw from the small businesses that you were trying to bring into Office Depot, and actually what you knew and learned through working at corporate. What were the biggest gaps that you saw from the small businesses and what you knew from your corporate experience?
So I can give you that in one word, and it's merchandising. Nobody knows what that is. It doesn't matter if someone's making $100,000 in their store or $60 million in their business. They don't know what it is. And so I guess, and you're a marketing person, so this is a perfect segue. But so the way to explain it is that so marketing moves goods towards people. Merchandising moves the people towards the goods. That makes sense? So like when you're marketing, you're like, everybody come to my store. But with merchandising, no, let's get the products together. Let's get the pricing together. Let's get the strategy together to get it to the people.
So I want to make sure y'all caught that gem, right? Marketing moves goods towards the people.
Yep.
Merchandising moves the people towards the goods. So as we think about this, and I know you work with a lot of brick and mortar,
Yes.
but you also work with e-commerce brands, online brands, and a huge part of the audience that's going to experience this have e-commerce, what are some of the things, or how, let's just start at a high level, how can you merchandise your store online?
So I think the biggest thing to think about first is, who are you even merchandising for? Like, as I know you know, the target customer, and breaking that down and understanding who that is at a deep level is where it begins. And I feel like that's where people always lose sight. Like when they first launch, it's like, oh, I'm so excited. They think that they're their own target customer. Like, I'm my target customer. I'm going to buy this for myself.
You're not your target customer. Let me just lean in for that, okay?
Right. You're not. So it always starts that way. But then, you know, as they reach somebody like you or me and they're ready to scale their business, it's like, okay, who's your target customer? Because it's not you. Like, the ugly stuff that you hate, your customers probably buy it.
That's so true, right? That is so true. And a lot of times what I find is people get into entrepreneurship, like you're saying, they build a business, especially in the consumer brand space, the beauty and wellness space. They're starting their product because of an issue that they had, right? And then they're building it around them. But I always tell my clients, you're not, if you can't replicate yourself 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times to have those customers, repeat customers, whatever you are thinking in your head is not the answer. Like, you have to go to your clients, you have to get to your target audience. So that's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's even, again, like their mindset, like, it's not just, oh, I'm targeting this customer. No, where are they in the journey with you, right? Like, when they first find you, what are they thinking about? When they're considering you and comparing you, what are they thinking about? So it's just a whole thing, because if you don't know that, you can't buy the right products.
Right.
And your products are everything. So if you're not buying the right products, you're not in business.
Right. All right, so we got target customer. You absolutely need to know your target customer. What else?
You have to plan. Oh my gosh. So that's my thing. I do 1-day transformations and help you create your 12-month growth plan and systematize that. It's so important. And so what I mean by plan is that you have like a roadmap for your entire business for the year, right? So we're sitting here getting ready for Black Friday. Everybody's scrambling. Like, y'all should have planned that.
In July.
Yeah. Or even last year when you were planning for this year, right? So it's like, I always see a lot of small businesses like, oh, I can't take deep discounts. I can't do more than 20%. Well, 20% for Black Friday is not going to make me get off the couch. But you could do bigger discounts if you planned it, right? So you have to have a financial plan. So then when you're buying inventory, you know how much to buy and when and what, right? So it's just all about planning out your business, what you're going to talk about, your marketing messages, because once you know that, you know everything. And then every decision in your business will revolve around that plan. So you know, I'm doing this today because it's going to get me to this X sales goal tomorrow.
So what about visual merchandising? Because in the day and age that we live in, right, content is king. However, you should not just jump to the content. And you know, you're very vocal about it. I think I'm very vocal about it as well, especially having that corporate experience and understanding the planning that goes into place before you get to content, right? That's always the last step.
Yes.
But from a visual merchandising standpoint, what are some things that brands can do online, especially, and for the brick and mortar folks?
Yeah. So, guys, if the images and the video are the first thing in a lot of cases that people see, why is that the last priority for you? Like, why do you not invest in imagery and video? I don't get it. But that's so important. And especially selling online, it's about trust. If you think about it, like, if I've never seen your brand, I see your ad on Facebook or whatever, and I click it and I go to your site. If your site doesn't look professional, if your images look like crap, if it's you in the images and you're not a model, you're not an influencer, so you're not like aesthetically what I was thinking, you know, that erodes trust. And every time you erode trust with your buyer, they're walking away from the sale. So that's just so important for you to, one, know who your customer is, know what they're looking for when they find you, and having the images and the video to represent that. And as far as brick and mortar, again, it's about having a plan. So one thing that I think was really cool in corporate that I learned was like, the checkout aisle.
Yes.
It's intentional. Like all those, okay, Sephora.
Talk about that.
Right?
Talk about the checkout aisle, because I don't think a lot of people understand what that is. I think we just go through life as consumers.
Yes.
But us as marketers, like, we get it, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
and it's a lot harder to convince us because we are marketers.
Right.
Because we get it. But talk about the checkout aisle and what that whole experience is like, and how people can bring that either to in-store or online.
Yeah. So when you think about products, you have your products, but then you have impulse items. So, I mean, look at Sephora. When you go to the checkout and you're in that little winding area and you see all the little tchotchke stuff and the little travel size things, that's intentional. They want you to grab that, right? Because merchandising and retail in general is about increasing the amount of money people spend with you for every single purchase. So the little checkout aisle is so that, if I pick this up, now I'm spending $20 more. If I pick this up. So it's very intentional, and it has to be something impulsive that somebody's like, oh yeah, it's only $20. I'm going to grab that. So candy at the grocery store, all the magazines, all the candy and little things are right there so that you can quickly just grab it and add it to the belt. So yeah, that's something that everybody should incorporate if you have a brick and mortar in some type of way.
And for our online folks, if you're thinking about how to implement this online, you can do an upsell or cross-sell at checkout, right? So when a customer puts something in the cart, you would recommend something that is an impulse buy, like, hey, get this at this price, put it in your bag, right, for a limited time only. Get them to make that impulsive purchase.
Exactly.
So from your experience, what do you feel is the biggest misconception about merchandising?
Well, one that they don't know what it is.
Right.
but yeah,
outside of
I know.
We covered that, but like, what is another misconception? Like, once we get people to understand actually what it is.
I think maybe a misconception is the fact that, like, you don't see the importance of it. A prime example is like a job that I had. The owner, he didn't know what it was, and they make a lot of money a year, like 7-8 figures. And he prints out the job description for a merchandising person. He's like, "Is this what you do?" In the job interview, I was like, "Yeah, kind of."
He was interviewing you for the merchandising position?
Yes. So it's like. And honestly, that whole role, I'm just like constantly telling them, like, this is why this is important. It's important to look at your gross margin because that's your profit, right? So it's like constantly convincing them why it's important. But without merchandising, the way to explain it is like there's no one running the ship. Like you can have a design team, you can have a marketing team, a customer service team, whoever else. But if there's not that person that's coordinating it all and planning it all to make sure everybody's aligned and marching towards your sales goals, things don't happen, right? So it's like you could hit 100 million on your own, sure. But if you would have had merchandising, you could have hit that 10 years ago. So I think it's just understanding how it works and why it's just so important to have it so that everything you do makes you money.
Everything you do makes you money, right? And if it's not making you money, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Nope.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
All right, so I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, and I want to ask you quick question. You could just give me on a scale of 1 to 10. From the standpoint, and I'm asking you as an entrepreneur friend, right, of your business, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Okay. From the marketing standpoint, how do you feel about your marketing right now on a 1 to 10?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm going to say a 6.
Okay. How do you feel about your money on a 1 to 10?
Like managing it or?
However you view it.
Well, I'm an expert at money management because I was a buyer, but as far as more clients, would definitely love more. So I'm going to give that a 5.
Okay. And then what about your mindset, 1 to 10?
That's a good one too. I'm going to say a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the marketing a little bit. From the standpoint of you and you running your business, I think you said it was a 6?
I think so, yeah.
6 for marketing. What would get you up to like a 9, 10?
That's such a great question. Ooh. I think because I just kind of switched the way I do my business, things are so fresh right now. So I switched away from group coaching and like one-off coaching to just do one-day transformations. And so it's a different kind of client. It's somebody who wants results now. They don't have time to fish for answers. They're done with Google University and YouTube University. Like, they want results and they want it now. So that type of customer is new for me. And I'm trying to see where they hang out.
Got it. So are you testing a lot of different things right now with your marketing? Or are you finding that the things that you used before are no longer working for this audience?
Yes. I would say in complete transparency, as I always am, like, I never mastered Facebook or Instagram ads. Like, that was never my thing.
It's the ghetto right now.
Yeah, it is.
It's the literal ghetto. If y'all see my ad, that's because I'm praying over it. That's because I'm praying over it, okay? And she's not my target customer, so I need to go fix them. I'm praying over those ads. It's the ghetto, but don't proceed.
Right. So that was never my thing. And really, to be honest, even more so, it's like, my business is constantly evolving, no pun intended, because the name is Retailing Evolved. But it's been a constant, like, figuring it out. Like, I know who my target customer is, and it's changed. But myself, again, nobody knows what merchandising is. That's what I used to preach. But eventually I had to give that up, right? And find a different way to message that and package that so that people could understand it. So it's been evolving, so to speak. So now, yes, I would say I'm testing things, but I'm more so looking at relationship marketing. So like this conversation that we're having, so we can dig deeper, so people can really get to know what it is and why it's important. So I value that a lot more in referral partnerships and things like that versus the ads, because I can only do but so much or explain so much of what I'm trying to say with the ad. Versus video and podcasts and things like that are more intimate. And that seems to work a lot better for me.
Nice. All right, on to the money. You said 5 on the money, right? You want more clients. What would get you up to 9, 10? 8, 9, or 10?
Ooh, I would say now that I'm doing the VIP days and things, I would love to book at least one VIP day every single month.
Okay.
It's very modest, but that's what I'll say.
I'm going to tell you to multiply that by 3, but okay.
I would love to.
Okay.
I'm being modest.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. I'm going to go with that.
All right. And then the mindset, you were...
I think I said 7.
7?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. So, I mean, because when you walked in here, you were like, I'm making it, right?
Making it, yep.
You got the new baby.
I do.
You're dealing with that, you know, you have an 8-month-old, and then your husband, your family.
Yes.
Like, talk to me about how you keep yourself mentally sound, essentially.
Yes. So being organized, like using my calendar as my Bible. I use ClickUp. Shout out to ClickUp. That's the business management tool I use and that I give my clients in the VIP days. But like just being able to go somewhere and be like, what do I have to do today? Like my calendar and then ClickUp, and that's it. So just having that peace of mind and that clarity, so I always know and I'm on top of what's happening. That's what helps. My faith, I'm a Christian, so definitely God. Prayer, much prayer. And communication. Communication with friends, with entrepreneurs, like people who get this life is what grounds me.
Girl.
It's a
you
life.
Definitely need a community, yes.
Yes, for sure.
And how often do you plug into that community?
Oh, God, daily. Like, I have certain friends, most of which I met on Instagram, which is funny. Like you.
Did you slide in their DMs or did they slide in your DMs? I don't remember if I slid in your DMs or if you slid in mine.
I think I slid in yours.
I slid in yours. I've been sliding in a lot of DMs recently. Like, hey, girl, let's be friends, right?
Right. I think...
How'd I do the phone? Instagram is not a phone.
It might as well be. In
Exactly.
2021.
Exactly. It's the new phone. Yes.
I think a little bit of both. I'm shy by nature, which is funny that I wore this coat. So my networking trick is, if you're shy, wear something crazy like this that's going to grab people's attention, because it works every time.
Yes.
Like, they're like, oh, I love your coat. I'm like, oh, yeah, so what do you do? So I'm like, you start the conversation for me, because I don't, that's not my nature naturally. So, yeah. Yeah, just networking, and I don't even remember what the freak we were talking about.
We were talking about your mindset and tapping into
yeah.
community. That's what we were talking
Community,
about.
yeah. So finding Instagram friends, so I have certain friends I'm texting daily, whether it's, texting or on Instagram, DMing, just saying, hey, what do you think about this? There's people for sure daily. I have weekly friends that I communicate with. So, yeah, it's constant, and it has to be, because this new mom life is, navigating that has been a lot, like a lot. So I have to talk to as many people as possible just to keep myself sane, and remembering who I am. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, girl, that's a whole nother podcast. Like, not even a topic. That's like a whole nother podcast. Like,
it is.
Okay, so listen, tell the people where they can find you, where they can stay connected with you. I would love to make sure that we get you those 3 clients a month.
Yes.
Not 1. We doing 3, okay? So let the people know how they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm Deanna J. McIntosh on all social platforms. My website is deannamcintosh.com. And on my website, there's a free assessment that you can take. So if you're launching, you'll see what type of retail entrepreneur you are and how you'll use that personality to fuel the business that you're going to launch. And if you've launched already, you'll find out what the number one thing stopping you from scaling is. And then from there, I'll give you some tips on how to move forward and how we can connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I know this was last minute, girl. So seriously, thank you so much for showing up, for being your amazing self and sharing with the community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for this podcast. I'm excited.
All right, y'all. So we're signing off. All of her contact information and everything will be in the show notes, and we will see y'all on the next episode.
Bye.
But I would say sit down and really think about what makes the most sense for your brand.